You got Ben Armstrong holding it down in that top left spot where you like to see him. But today we have, it has been quite the week. And my kid, hit that like button. If it's been a volatile week and you've been on a roller coaster of emotions, make sure you hit that like button. We're going to be talking about the Bitcoin relief rally, a huge YouTube hack with all the biggest people. I definitely want to get Mine Your Business take on this. A huge hack with all the crypto people got hit by that. Even Antonopoulos. Why you got to bother Antonopoulos? Also, economic collapse incoming. What does that mean for the crypto markets? But before we get into that, you know what time it is, especially on a day like today. We got to get into these crypto markets, see what is going on. I know Busy is good with a little TA, so it might be bringing it to him. But we have Bitcoin up almost 5% on the 24 hours. Certainly good to see a little bit of some green action. We also have Ethereum, up 1.5%, BNB up 1.5%, Cardano. So everything else kind of lagging behind, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see, Bitcoin maybe slow down and the other alts start to catch up. Now, Busy, with Bitcoin specifically, we're seeing a nice little relief. If you look at that 7-day, we're now only down about 11%, which is a lot better than a 20% or so. What is the Bitcoin market's telling you?
Yeah, I mean, quite the week is definitely an understatement. We've had pretty much a roller coaster ride of a week with crypto, which is, what you're signing up for when you get into crypto, to be honest. I think people are expecting to just see gains upon gains, so that they're going to be, quickly mistaken if they're getting into crypto just now. But, those gains do come. You just have to wait for them. But in terms of TA itself, if we get into the Bitcoin charts, I've got it on the weekly chart right now. And you can see here, if in doubt, zoom out, right? And here we can see quite a clear uptrend is still in play. And this is what I always tell people. On the short term, yes, we're in an extreme downtrend. But on the long term, we did have this push up. We had this push down to around that 50% retracement level. We had that push up taking out that previous high, which shows a clear 1, 2, 3 uptrend move. And the fact is, as long as we don't break down below that $28,000, $29,000 mark, we are still in the weekly uptrend. So for me, I'm still seeing us in a bullish market on the long term. That does not mean I'm going to see us going up to 60,000 tomorrow, but anywhere around where we are right now, that's where I'm buying. I'm looking between 34,000 and 29,000 as my kind of buy zone, buy target. And every time price comes into that, I'm just looking to pick up a bit more. Dollar cost average is kind of what we tell everyone on the channel anyway. It's a great way to average out your cost. And yeah, that's what I'm seeing in terms of the level of support.
60, not tomorrow, no $25,000 candle. I was really hoping to see that. Now, you and Ben made a video, a couple years ago saying, 100K is, likely for this bull run. Of course, we didn't see it happen in 2021. Is that dream dead or is the hope still alive?
I mean, the dream's never dead with me, but I would say we could definitely see 100K this year. I mean, I personally fundamentally will always believe in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, so I have no reason to bet against it. I think it's quite funny. You see the comments on the channel switch up really quickly when the markets go down. We've noticed a lot more negativity, a lot more people saying, no, it's going down to 10K, 20K, whatever. But I still believe in it. I still think it's going to get to 100K eventually, whether that's this year or not. I'm going to be holding until it does. So that's kind of my perspective on it.
All right. Well, Ben, we saw with Busy's chart right there. It does look like, we are hitting a supported band, is, kind of bottoming out. Hopefully, of course, who knows what's going to happen with crypto here. But, what are the chances that we will see things starting to turn around? And, what kind of price targets are you keeping in your mind?
Well, there's just a lot of factors to take into consideration at this point. I mean, we would be fooling ourselves if we didn't take a step back to consider the larger picture of what's going on with our economic system right now. I mean, I know later on we're going to be talking about that more in detail, talking about the NASDAQ and what we might be seeing. But, you've got Biden talking about putting out this crypto plan next month. You've got a Fed meeting this week where they may be coming, either going, more hawkish or could be moving back to dovish. We'll have to see what happens there. But there's a lot of factors going on right now. And I know a lot of people give I'm going to, use Carl, for instance. I know we had a video with him on the channel today, but, Carl is very famous for saying it could go up or it could go down, but the thing is it's really true. I feel like in 2018, especially towards the end of 2017, like there weren't enough YouTubers out there giving you a realistic picture of the two ways that this could go. Okay. We can bounce off of 29, bounce off of 28.5 and go back in a bullish direction. According to the traditional Bitcoin cycles, that should not happen at this point. We've kind of, ran through that time period, and it should be time for things to start going back down. But that doesn't mean that it's got to stick to that. if we do bounce off of 28.5 or 29,000, or, you know, we talked about last week on the channel that 33,000 was a really strong support zone, and we got to bounce off of that today. So it's certainly possible that we start heading back in the right direction, but you got to be prepared for both scenarios. And I think that's really what we have to do a good job as educators in this space, is laying out the different scenarios that can occur. $100,000, I feel like at this point is unlikely, but it's still possible. Going down to 10,000 is unlikely, but it's still possible. Somewhere in the middle there is, you know, really more realistic. If we go down, maybe we go down to 24K, maybe 20K. The 18K is kind of my lowest target. But if we go up, you know, who knows how much higher we could go. But, you know, right now we just don't have confirmation either way. We really have to see, you know, we are looking at, you know, we talked about earlier on the live stream this morning about how, you know, 46K could be kind of a relief rally point where you might want to take some profits. And my suggestion would be, if we go back above 40K, if you missed profit taking, take some profits and leave some in. That way, if it does continue up, you get upside. But if it does go back down, you can't be all in into crypto and then hodl down to zero. That's not what you want to do. You want to have money on the sidelines. And if you profited over this year, you'll take some of that money, move it to the side. And when we do get a big collapse, because whether it's now or whether it's a year from now, we will get a big drawdown. You want to have enough money set on the side to be able to take advantage of it.
A little something on the sidelines, a little dry powder on the sidelines, as Elio says. I know Justin Williams loves that saying, but, you know, you gave some of those lower targets, the 18, the 20. Now, Mine Your Biz, those numbers, you know, they're kind of important to me because that's where miners are no longer in profit. And we're seeing hash rate at all-time high difficulty. So normally when the difficulty rises, you know, the price rises. When the difficulty lowers, the price lowers. Well, we're not seeing that correlation anymore. It almost seems to be totally disconnected from where it has been in the past. Do you see that continuing, or is this a fluke? What's going on with the disconnect between the hash rate and the price?
Well, you know, that's a great question. And I appreciate that you brought up this particular point, because the article that we were sent over in our show notes have to do specifically with mining difficulty and specifically to do with network security on Bitcoin. Price follows hash rate, and hash rate follows difficulty, as you alluded to. And right now, there's typically a pretty strong correlation between difficulty and price, right? It's a bit of an extrapolation. There's usually that correlation between difficulty and price, but let's be very, very clear. We're talking about security of the network before we talk about value of the asset. The current cost to produce one Bitcoin. I'm going to see if I can quickly pull up a window here so I can do a bit of sharing as well. So now we're in my wheelhouse. Okay, this is what we look at. These are the charts that matter to us who secure the Bitcoin network. But right now, at the average cost for power here in the United States, somebody who's trying to mine at home, you're right, you're not in the money. But people who are mining internationally right now, we had a quick sidebar about this before the show. When you're mining in markets where the cost basis for your power is somewhere on the order of, say, 5 cents, you're actually in very good shape. You're not too worried about whether or not you're in profit. So right now, it may appear that some miners are not in profit, but I assure you, the pros definitely are. And that accounts for minimum half of the network security right now. And Bitcoin is pretty amazing. Satoshi, proof of work is a pretty amazing invention. It's elastic. It could scale all the way back to 10% of the current total network hash rate, and Bitcoin would still be secure. But the difficulty adjusts every 2 weeks. So we're in the middle of a drawdown in price, right? People's portfolios are down, but the network hasn't updated yet, right? Like the difficulty will adjust at some later time. In the meantime, though, Bitcoin is secure, transactions are going through, proof of work is operating exactly as it's intended to, even though the prices are going down. And proof of work, I mean, networks like Ethereum have been promising proof of stake for over 5 years. It's really hard to make that transition if you start as a proof of work network and then try to wean yourself onto proof of stake. It's just really, really difficult. And the takeaway there, at least from a miner's perspective, is that proof of work works. So it's not broken. Price, I have no doubt, a bit like how Crypto Busy mentioned before, I have no doubt we're going to see those really high targets in the future. But in the meantime, I just want to know my value is secure, and proof of work mining secures that.
Yeah, secures that. And, you know, you speak of things that are broken. That kind of reminds me of another thing many people say is broken, and that's social media. You know, you go on social media, especially crypto, Twitter, and, you know, other sites, you see a lot of bearish sentiment. You see a lot of fear. You see people, you know, they're kind of freaking out. They're saying that the sky is falling. Now, Ragzy, and real quick, Ragzy, you're going to have to hang out in that basement chat. They love you in the Twitch chat, by the way. I just want to say that. But Ragzy, what is kind of the general sentiment that you're seeing and, you know, on crypto Twitter, you know, on Instagram? What's the general sentiment right now? Is, you know, are people over panicking, not panicking enough? Where do you think?
Oh, definitely. They're definitely panicking. And that's why I love social media. It's so easy to kind of like navigate what the narrative is. For those of you who don't know, I also have like a crypto TikTok with a pretty large following on there. And it's been very interesting. I saw like a few different live streams last night titled like crypto crash, bear market. So it definitely seems to be the sentiment. And I think like social media platforms like Twitter, you know, and TikTok in particular are very, very interesting because as soon as the market looks green and it's up, everyone talks about the bull market, we're so bullish. And then when it's red, it's down, but nobody ever seems to like, overall, nobody ever seems to pre-predict it. Yes, there's exceptions, but I'm talking about the massive amount of people talking about crypto through these apps. So there does seem to be a bit of panic. And I think the OGs, people who have been in crypto for such a long time, are kind of excited because to Mine Your Biz's point, you know, people have stacked cash on the sidelines that they're kind of waiting, you know, for these kinds of crashes to invest in projects that they wanted to wait for a big dip. So it's really interesting. I feel like the narrative is different depending on what type of crypto investor you are. If you're a noob, they're terrified. If you've been in it, they're still bullish on the markets overall. If you zoom out, it's still up, and they're kind of used to the volatility. So, you know, overall though, right now there's definitely a little bit of panic and a bearish sentiment.
Yeah, definitely panic in the streets. And chat saying you do a mean Dougie. Fun fact, I sprained my knee doing the Dougie all those years ago. I actually like fell out. It was the whole thing. But let's talk about the YouTube hack, the big hack of 2022. Several prominent YouTubers in crypto got hacked. I mean, this is some major names out there. It was, like I said, Antonopoulos, Ben, you know, there's a whole list of people. It was quite alarming, the sophistication. And, you know, you see, I think Coin Bureau even tweeted like, we have two-factor on, like, you know, this wasn't, you know, it's not like we have lapsed security here. This is you know, a worldwide global thing, very coordinated. We saw it all happen at once. Now, Ben, your channel was hacked as well. This channel that you're watching right now, this was, you know, we put out a video as well very quickly. You know, we took it down. What kind of happened? What went on with all that? Can you give us a little description?
Yeah, so it's very surprising. I was at church yesterday. You guys know, make my little Sunday drive church or Sunday, you know, drive to church video, talk about, you know, what's going on in the markets. We did that yesterday morning and got to church and I'm sitting there in my little small group and, you know, I had posted that video that I did yesterday morning and it had just uploaded and I was, you know, pretty excited to, you know, check out the numbers. I thought it would be, you know, a pretty good video and do pretty well. And so I was just like checking the numbers on it because we always want to see how it's doing in the first 30 minutes. And so I go to check it and it's doing okay. You know, video's doing all right. And then about 5 minutes later, I'm like, you know what, let me just double check it one more time. So I pull it up and there's a brand new video up there and it says one world currency and it's got a crazy Binance Smart Chain address. And like, my first thought is like, holy crap, we've been hacked. This is terrible. Like, what is going to happen? Am I locked out of the account? Is going to be a big, you know, drawn out thing. It's important for people to understand my crypto did not get hacked. None of our crypto got hacked, only our YouTube account. And it had something to do with brand accounts. If you have a brand account, which is a certain kind of YouTube account that allows you to have multiple managers on it, there was a backdoor. And there were several other YouTubers, Coin Bureau, Floyd Mayweather, Data Dash. It's still happening today. Data Dash, actually, I believe, got hacked this morning. Ivan, Carl. I was actually the person who I deleted the video immediately. It was only up for 4 minutes. So we caught it extremely fast, considering we were the first channel that happened to. And I was actually alerting all the other people. So when Carl's and Ivan's got hit, I let them know about it through Telegram immediately so they could get the videos removed and stuff like that. But it's a backdoor. It just shows, you know, we still have centralization going on out there. I was very fortunate to be able to have caught it so quickly. And supposedly, like, there's only one person who sent in $1,000, not from our video, but from somebody else's videos. You got to be real careful out there. There's also a big story we're not going to talk about today, but there was a Kathy Woods live stream that was 100% fake and fraudulent. And supposedly in just a few hours, it took in, I think, $200,000 worth of money from people. So you got to be careful out there on YouTube for sure.
You got to be careful out there. There's so many crypto scams. Crypto Busy, what's your best advice for newcomers into the space, or actually even some veterans we've seen, as far as navigating the space, and how's the best way to avoid scams?
Yeah, I mean, scams they've been so rampant recently, especially people taking advantage of newcomers into the space last year. And I think the best thing to do is, if you're starting out in crypto, is just go back to the classics when it comes to learning about it. You know, whether you're learning from articles or YouTube videos, stick with people you trust, and you know, you'll generally get a good sense or a feel for what to do, what not to do. And then, of course, I think most of, you know, us as YouTubers, we do a pretty good job of, you know, putting it out there, what to look at as a real thing, what to look at as a scam or a fake thing. And at the end of the day, there's always going to be some type of scams or something that's going to happen, and it might look really realistic. And sometimes there's just ones that you just can't avoid. For example, it happened to some of the biggest channels in crypto, where even when they had 2FA on and stuff like that. So you've always just got to be super vigilant in crypto and in anything. But crypto is unfortunately one of those where hackers really can just run around and kind of have a field day on everyone. So I would say just stay safe as much as you can. Just do most things by the book. But yeah, that's unfortunately, there's just always going to be times where you've got to just be as careful as possible, and there's nothing else you can say.
Speaking of hackers running away and having a field day, we saw it yesterday with OpenSea and the Bored Apes. The Bored Ape collection, there was a little hack. It was a UX hacks on OpenSea's side, where if you delisted something but didn't want to pay the gas fee, you could just transfer wallets. And basically, hackers were able to steal a bunch of, you know, Bored Apes that shouldn't have been sold at that price. A little API data, you know, is moved around, but we see it with the Bored Ape community. They're targeted a lot. A lot of them are newer buyers. They're maybe not crypto native, so you know they're targeted a lot. There's a lot of apes stolen all the time. Now, Ragzy, people are hearing about this. You know, like maybe one day a celebrity's ape. You know, maybe someone will steal Eminem's ape or something like that. Do you think that security and, you know, these hacks is going to be a major obstacle for people to get into the NFT space?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I just did an interview with the Rolling Stone, and the article is out today on how to avoid scams and rug pulls in the NFT space. And, you know, just this past year, we've seen a lot of hacks just like that, where the NFTs are actually being stolen. And that's for a number of different reasons. But these kinds of things are going to continue to happen, because I think a lot of the time what people forget is scamming is a business. And unfortunately, it's a very, very profitable business, especially in this space of crypto and NFTs. So as long as they're getting away with it, they're going to continue to do it. And the sad thing is, because they've scammed people for millions of dollars, they have the money to reinvest back into their business and get better at it. So that's the scary thing. So I think there's a lot of pressure to put on these YouTubers and influencers in general to kind of like protect our own communities from scams. And, you know, I heard about the YouTube thing, and I feel like, you know, a lot of these platforms need to up their game. I don't know if like 2FA is enough anymore, and really protect its users from these kinds of things. And as far as NFT goes, you know, as long as people know how to code and they know how to hack, I don't foresee those things going away anytime soon. I think they're going to continue to happen. But there are new networks we see coming out that want to compete with OpenSea. A lot of really good up and coming ones that are going to have better security measures to try and prevent these things from happening in the future.
Yeah, Looks Rare definitely comes to mind. You know, shout out to Looks. You know, competition is good in the space. But Mine Your Biz, you know, I've followed your Twitter for a long time. You definitely take you definitely take security very seriously. You know, you're always talking about, you know, I don't even think you run Android on your phone, if I'm not mistaken. You know, you run Linux. You know, it's a huge part of your brand. And we'll get article after article and headline after headline saying, you know, crypto's all full of scammers. It's all, you know, everything's getting hacked. Everything's a Ponzi scheme. All these articles are definitely incredibly biased. But me and, you know, decentralization ultimately is good for security. It actually, you know, ups your security. How do we communicate that, you know, decentralization is a good thing to the general public?
Well, the first thing is, I mean, this is a very privileged group, right? We're very fortunate in that the audience cares to come and listen to what we have to say. So first off, kudos to everybody here who's used their platform to do that. Ben was extremely responsible with the disclosure coming up when the thing first happened. I was in that Telegram group, and I tried to publish immediately and take a screenshot of what he shared, because nobody else was talking about it. Everybody else was like, oh, I got hacked, but I don't want to admit it. Try to take it down real fast, and maybe nobody will notice. They're all in damage control mode. And Ben just said like, oh, well, shoot, they got me, but I'll just tell everybody, I'll warn everybody. So first things first, we talk about it, right? We have to talk about it. That's responsible disclosure. That helps prevent other people from getting hacked, and it cuts off the whatever these bad actors are. It cuts the snake off at the head, so to speak. And that's the first thing. We just got to talk about it. It's unfortunate. Another good example that comes to mind is Omar Bam from Crypto's News. One of his wallets got hacked because of a security practice, and he was very remorseful. He's missing, I think, one of his ENS registered domains. Same with Not So Fast, a notable crypto Twitter guy who's actually missing his own namesake on his .eth address. These things happen. But when we're open about them and we try to tell people the ways and means in which we think we were hacked, we do more good. So again, like I really appreciate that you have me back on the BitBoy Crypto channel, because you're great examples of that. And Ben definitely leads from the front in that regard. But how do we help? Yeah, we talk about it, especially when it's inconvenient with family, right? They're already groaning when we have those family meetings and it's holiday time, or there's a wedding, or there's a funeral, and we're like, so about that crypto stuff, I talked to you about this 6 months ago. We need to lead that with, hey, are you using a password manager? Because if you did buy that crypto stuff and your seed phrase gets leaked, you're screwed. Your net worth lives in a code, right? So up that security game. But it starts in a more personal way. If we don't have a platform like this, if you got a platform like this, I don't care if you are a makeup influencer. I don't care if you review baby toys, if you do unboxing videos. If you got a platform, let people know how they can stay safe in whatever your domain is. Anyway, that was a bit of a rant.
Yeah, it's always fun, trying to explain that to the family members. I always like to start with, I scare them. I say, all right, you ready to get freaked out? Here's your secret passphrase that you can share with nobody ever. And then I repeat ever. I scream it at the top of my lungs. I'll say, you lose everything, spittle flying out. But that's usually how I do it. You got to set the tone, you got to set the tone. Well, let's talk about the economic collapse that may be coming. Hopefully not, but we're seeing a lot of things. We're seeing tensions rise. We're seeing tensions rise, whether it's Taiwan. We're seeing tensions rise around Ukraine. We're seeing NASDAQ falling down. We had that terrible Netflix earnings on Friday, bringing everything down. We have the Fed possibly slowing down the little water spigot that, all the money likes to trickle out of. So we have all these macro narratives, kind of saying maybe things are going to start slowing down. Maybe things, you're hearing people say things like Great Recession, Great Depression. And I kind of want to get Crypto Busy side, from across the pond, because, so much of the news we get is, just American based. But it seems like every site out here is telling you something bad's about to happen. The sky's about to fall. Are they just trying to sell their newsletter or sell their subscription service? Or, is that kind of the sentiment over there as well? I mean, do you see, an impending, economic slowdown?
Yeah, the sentiments here as well. Definitely. It's not a fun one, but it's definitely being plastered everywhere about, especially with this new Russia-Ukraine. Everyone's talking about World War III in the mix, and not what a lot of people are looking forward to. But I think, that plus all of the different things with, inflation and, like you said, potential Great Recession on the horizon, that's going to lead a lot of people to getting very, very scared. And I do think, of course, the drama, the hype, all of that type of thing, it's the same way why YouTubers use clickbait thumbnails, right? We do it to get more views. So I think they're obviously going to escalate it in their titles, but at the same time, it is definitely not a small matter at all. There is definitely something scary going on. But whether that's going to have a wider effect into the world of crypto, that is still something that is so, we've never really seen what this is going to have an effect on before. We've never seen how crypto will be affected by something larger scale outside. I think, obviously, with the pandemic that happened, we saw a big crypto crash there. That's the only real black swan event we've seen in recent times with cryptos that we can go off. So it'll be interesting to see whether Bitcoin remains as kind of a hedge and a way to do well in a where NASDAQ and everything else is crashing, or whether it will be tied to that by proxy and come down as well. So yeah, I don't really have an answer on whether it's going to do well or not. We're just going to have to wait and see, unfortunately. But I think it's going to be an interesting ride for sure.
No, I want you to exactly predict the global market 6 months from now. I'm not asking too much here. All right. Well, Ragzy, let's say, we do have a black swan event. Let's say there is a very serious economic downturn. Where do you think people should be shifting their money to?
Ooh, that's a big question. Well, I don't know. It depends on the individual, but obviously we see a lot of people going for the good old gold, gold kind of standard and investing in that. I think we are going to see, a bigger crash, unfortunately. Like, here in the United States, we know we printed all this money and it's due for a crash. And we've seen like just the stock market itself, kind of start to go down a little bit, but I don't think it's gone down as far as it possibly can. And it, seems like crypto is still correlated with that in a way. I think one day it will be independent, and won't do what the stock market does. But historically, every time the stock market crashes or sees this kind of scary dip, the real estate market goes with it, the art market goes with it. So I'm curious to see if the crypto market continues to tank, what will happen to the NFT art market and those markets as well. If people use it as a hedge to keep trading, or if it'll kind of tank with everything else. But I don't know what people should be, putting their money into. They have to decide that from themselves. But it just seems like a lot of investors are still sticking with the good old gold standard, and they're sticking it in gold.
Yeah, I like the answer gold. I know Crypto Face and Gareth Soloway are big on gold. I bought a little bit of gold at ETH's top. I also Crypto Face says barrels of oil. I don't know. Good luck, trying to store that. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Who knows? But no, I think gold is a great answer, and nothing wrong with staking some tether. That's also an option for a lot of people. But Mine Your Biz, you've been in here since what many would call the early days. And if you remember, Bitcoin was born out of the economic collapse of 08 and then the Genesis block in 09. But then the economy was, mostly on an upswing since then. A little bit of a hiccup in March 2020. But many are saying, we might be running into the most economic turbulent time ever in Bitcoin's history. Is that going to change the narrative? Or, is this, Bitcoin still just kind of keep going to do what it's doing with its cycles?
I think the cycles are going to be, I think we're going to find something a little bit different from what it's done before, because this is the first time that, like you're saying, that Bitcoin tests new all-time lows or tests support in the face of a potentially, 2008 global economic crisis matching circumstance. So yeah, we haven't seen this before. We've never seen, Bitcoin in this form before. Is its power level over 9,000? We're about to find out. Like, does it have that kind of resilience? We really don't know. But I think we're going to see something that really does test the resolve of the people who call themselves hodlers of last resort, right? Who do hold all the way to zero, ostensibly. But we're also going to find, I think, possibly brand new holders. We are going to bring in new participants into the entire cryptocurrency market, I suspect, not just in Bitcoin, but of course in the broader markets. So coins like Cardano that are right now still kind of promise chains when we're talking about DeFi, but are growing, right? That they're just at that point right now where they may be hitting the knee of the curve in terms of functionality. They're going to really have a phenomenal moment here if they're able to deliver on scale and TPS while Bitcoin is experiencing that kind of test, right? That kind of an all-time low test. But the same is true of all of DeFi, right? All smart contract platforms. So yeah, what are we going to see here? I think we're going to see something that for the crypto loyalists who've been in it for a long time, who say they're in it for the tech, we're going to see something that's genuinely inspiring in terms of how the tech can empower people. But Bitcoin proper, my gosh, my heart goes out to the people who sold their truck or refinanced their home or did whatever they were going to do at 65K to get more Bitcoin and have hodled all the way to this point and are now standing on the event horizon of what could be financial circumstances that match 2008. I truly feel sorry for these people. I think you should be questioning all of your life choices up to this point. But what to invest in from this point moving forward? Lead and brass, my friend, never fails.
All right, lead. All right. I'm going to go buy a bunch of pencils from the CVS as soon as this episode's done. Now, Ben, you're on the record, saying, deflation is going to be coming. I think we were saying that around fall or summer of last year. Do you believe that we're seeing the beginning of this? Or conversely, will the Fed turn the money printer back on?
Well, I think between the fall and today, I think a lot of things have changed. I think we're looking at a lot of instability out there, especially if you look between Ukraine, Russia. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on with China. I think we're about to enter a very fascinating few weeks here as they roll out the digital yuan as the Winter Olympics get going. We've actually got an Olympian will be here on that day to discuss, NFTs for Olympians. He'll be in studio with a project he's working on, which is very interesting. But I think you've got a lot of stuff going on out there that makes me think that maybe we are going to see one more round of money printing. And here is the biggest reason why. Midterm elections. I think these midterm elections are going to be really big. And a lot of you guys know that several months ago, I told you guys that this pandemic would be over in March. We are seeing so much evidence of that right now. It is absolutely insane. If you look at the way that they're recording numbers, they're in February, they're going to stop keeping track of daily deaths. Just so you guys know, that's out. That's from the Department of Health. They're going to stop doing that. And so that's really, really, like, you could really go either way with that. You could say that's really bullish, but I would say it's actually rather bearish, because that means there's no more free money. That means we have no more excuses in this economy. That means that everybody's going to have to really get back to normal. There's a lot of people that don't want to go back to normal. So it stands to reason that I think we might get one more round of money printing to kind of like counteract that bearish narrative on the economy, because I think it is going to be bearish that a lot of people are going to have to go back to work. Face facts, and there's a lot of people out there saying, I'll never go back to work. Well, you're going to have to. There's a supply and demand problem when it comes to, to remote workers. So I think that, we could get one more round of money printing. But look, I want to be very clear on this. They can't continue this policy. At some point, it has to end, or else they're going to totally destroy the dollar. And I just don't see another way around it, because, look, politicians are in there for the short term. But those lifetime politicians that really pull the strings behind the scenes of everything, they're always thinking about the next move. So yes, your local senator that's running probably doesn't give a flip if the dollar collapses in 10 years, but those people behind the scenes do. And if they keep money printing, it is going to totally implode our entire economy. So we may have one round or two rounds left of quantitative easing, but overall, they've got to turn the printer off. There's no question about it, or we're going to destroy the entire American way of life.
Yeah, no doubt on that. And, I kind of definitely agree with that the beginning sentiment. We are going to see the rhetoric cool down a little bit as far as the fear-based narrative, because no one wants to get destroyed in the midterm. So, that's shout out to All In Podcast, putting that on my radar about a month ago. But that is all we got for the episode. It looks like Mine Your Biz kind of took it there at the end. Definitely a good day with all the security breaches and everything. Mine Your Biz always preaches security. Definitely check out his channel, check out his socials, and links to everybody is going to be in the description of this video. Make sure you go check that out and hit the like button while you're there. You're scrolling past it. It's a little thumbs up. Just give it a little, just give it a little punch. That's all we're asking for. But Mind Your Biz, go ahead and take it away. Leave us with some parting thoughts.
Hey, parting thoughts, guys. First off, thank you so much for tuning in. I mean, I appreciate being here to have this kind of counterpoint and conversation with people who are somewhat like-minded, but have a slightly different point of view. I think it's great that you're here listening to everybody here on this panel and that you're subscribing to everybody. I mean, seriously, you're in the right place. Keep coming back. You're going to keep on learning. That's all I got for you.
Oh, great ending there. And that is all we got time for. Until next time, BitSquad, DEEZY out. Hope you like the new background.